Well, that's what's happening at MLS academies too. It's fucking shocking. The whole thing is garbage. At
Yeah.
ECNL, trash. There might be a specific coach here or there, 1 in 100 that is like doing great stuff and great work, like for real, for real. But the rest of it, it doesn't matter. It's the same. This is episode 394 of the 343 podcast. Benny wanted to throw out some toxic comments that we received on an Instagram reel of ours, a pretty viral Instagram reel of ours. So we're going to start this episode out by playing that reel or playing that clip for you. Here we go. Here's the dirty little secret of American soccer nobody wants to talk about. It's all recreation. All of it. Oh, my son's on an MLS Next team or something. You're on a rec team. You're in a rec league. You're in a rec team. Oh, we got accepted to ECNL. Great. I understand that's a good business thing, right? For the club, for the teams, for the players to be spotted by college coaches. Great. All that's true. All that's great. It's a rec league with rec clubs and rec teams. All of it. Oh, my team won the national championship or the state. You're a rec team. You guys don't take, it's not serious. Because all the things that we just finished discussing, like, hey, if you have the best player, like, are they being benched? Are you being serious about developing pros? No, they're not serious about developing pros. None of these teams are serious. What do you get for developing a pro? You don't get shit. I would say there's 0 clubs that are serious. Zero. No exceptions. You want to say, oh, the LA Galaxy or FC Dallas, fucking wreck. The whole MLS itself, it's rec. They literally say it's about entertainment. Oh, Gary, it's just a game. It's just for entertainment. Okay, it's rec then. The whole thing's fucking rec. So you just have to get lucky to land at a team with a particular coach and staff that takes the craft very seriously and makes it known up front that, hey, we're here to develop pro players. You're asking me about pro player development, right? So that's what it has to be.
Yeah. Gary, I knew this reel would get some traction. I was thinking maybe, I don't know, 10,000, 15,000 views. I didn't realize how much it would take off. Why do you think people were so shocked to hear you say that everything in the US is recreational, from ECNL, MLS Next, even the MLS is recreational? I think this reel opened the eyes of a lot of people, that when you hear ECNL, you hear MLS Next, you're like, oh wow, this is a top league in our country. If I have a high level player, I'm gonna try and put my kid in these leagues. So why do you think this one in particular caused so many? Because Gary, also a lot of people were like, what the fuck are you talking about, Gary? You have no idea what you're saying. Who's this bozo?
Sure.
Somebody come get their ex-husband.
Sure.
So what? Why do you think?
It's very simple. It's not shocking. Anybody who got triggered or gets triggered by those sorts of things is because you yourself are guilty of those things. Like only the rec people got triggered by what was said. Because if you're serious, if you're hardcore, you actually know that what I'm saying is true, because you look out into the ecosystem like we just described, and you're like, Jesus Christ, the whole thing's a clown show. Like if you're let's say you're a coach, you're a master coach, phenomenal craftsman, and you go out to the fields as you described, and you're looking around and you're seeing how coaching points people are making and stuff. You're like, Jesus Christ, this is a shit show. And so you don't get triggered by what I say, because you're like, yeah, this 100% correct. And the way that the rec people retaliate is how you just described. They can't really get to the substance of it all, because one, maybe they aren't even practitioners. Maybe they're parents who have a kid in these competitions, and they're very proud that their kid is in these competitions, MLS Next or ECNL. And I'm coming around saying it's rec, and they're like, that's massively triggering, you know what I mean? Because they feel like they've made it and their kid has made it somehow. So think about it, of course. And if you're a coach and you're getting triggered, because you're coaching those things, you get upset because you feel the same way. It's like, oh, I'm coaching in MLS Next. I'm a big shot now, and everybody treats me with respect around here. You know what I'm saying? When I'm walking around with a little patch on And so, of course, that guy gets triggered too, unless he is top class. If he's top class, then the dude's like, yeah, all my colleagues are shite around here, honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember a few episodes ago, Ben, off the cuff, I kind of said, ignorance is bliss. And then what ends up happening is if somebody comes around and takes you out of ignorance or kind of pokes a hole into the ignorance a little bit, then you're poking a hole in somebody's bliss. You're taking them out of bliss because they're no longer as ignorant. That's painful. That's why, Ben. Very simple. And unfortunately, I'd be open to listening to people if somebody's lost an argument when they get personal and they can't actually talk about the subject. You know what I mean? And that's fine. It's
Yeah.
just a sign. It's just a sign of no. I get it though. It's the sign of weakness, right? When you get personal, you're weak. And I'm sorry that the world beat you down and you have no status and you haven't built anything in your life. I understand you can't retaliate with money or with power or with anything or with brain power. You can't. So what do? You resort to, what Seth Godin calls the lizard brain. You go back to your reptilian brain, the amygdala just fires off and you start insulting the person. Okay.
Yeah.
You just identified exactly who you are.
I'm just, I'm laughing, Gary, because like you perfectly described this one guy commented. He's like, "Oh, like what? Why are we listening to this bald guy that knows nothing about soccer?"
It's hilarious because I saw
Like, I
some
know,
people.
like,
It's like,
hilarious.
well, I saw one comment that was like, "Oh, I don't know if like you were like hurt, you're because you had a bad experience with your son going through the whole thing or your kids
Yeah,
going
yeah,
through the whole thing." It's like, well, lady, you don't even know who I am clearly. If so, do some fucking homework before you make a comment. Like
yeah,
people
yeah,
aren't interested in digging in, figuring stuff out. They don't care. They stick with their worldview at all costs, Benny, at all costs. And it wouldn't matter if this particular lady did her homework and saw all the stuff that has been accomplished. They don't care. They find another way to preserve their mental models of the world. It's
yeah.
human nature.
Yeah, it's funny too. A lot of people comment like, "Oh, you clearly don't know anything about football. You clearly don't know anything about the U.S. soccer landscape." Like, just do one Google search and you'll find out. It's
Hilarious,
funny, bro.
man.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some of the comments too. I'm gonna trigger you here, Gary.
Okay, go.
The first guy, I'm gonna call it the names too because
Sure. No,
they posted it.
yeah, they
So
post in
yeah, they
public.
posted it. So Olsen Graphic. I'm not sure I understand your argument. Are you saying the clubs that get into the most prestigious competitions in the country aren't serious about having the best players and best player development? Wouldn't a metric of that be getting players to a platform where they can be seen by scouts? Am I missing something?
I mean, you're missing the entire thing because you can't even formulate a proper question. No, you know that cliche of judge a man by the questions that he asks. I think it takes a while for one to realize how deep that actually is. But anyway, so first off, the clubs that get into particular competitions or teams that get into particular competitions, they get in because they have a rubber stamp, a badge. Some gatekeeper at some point in the history of the club said, "Hey, you are allowed to compete in MLS Next. You are allowed to compete in ECNL. You are allowed to compete in whatever, Dallas Cup or Surf Cup, whatever." So once you're in that club, you compete in that. You didn't have to earn it to compete in those competitions. And once you are a coach or an administrator, an executive in that club, you don't actually have to go out and do hardcore work of scouting and recruiting and all like hardcore. You don't have to do anything. The players come to you because you have the status to play in these particular competitions. So you, by default, will get, quote unquote, a huge proportion of the best players. And then all the coach has to do, or all the club has to do, is just throw the 11 players out on the field. And for the most part, they'll win games, they'll compete, they'll do okay. And if you suck at the sporting side of things, You don't get relegated. The club or the team doesn't get kicked out of MLS Next or kicked out of ECNL. You stay there forever. So you don't have to be a serious practitioner in any sense of that word to compete in the best competitions, to be scouted by the scouts, whatever that guy's meaning by scouts. So it's all nonsense. It's all entitlement, Benny. Everybody is entitled to play here or there. It's not serious.
Somebody commented on YouTube, Gary. I think it's good that we define it here. How do you define a practitioner? You know,
Yeah.
because
So
somebody
yeah,
can say like, "Oh, I'm a soccer coach. I coach a club team. I'm a practitioner of the game." But
well,
is that
I
really
would
the case?
say, I would say they are. I would say they are a practitioner. You're coaching, okay, you're a practitioner for sure, because you actually have to go out on the field. You actually have to lay out cones. You actually have to talk to players. You actually have to run activities. You actually have to pick a lineup. You actually have to do all those sorts of things. So, are you a practitioner? Yes. Now, there's levels to it. If you get paid for that, I consider that more of a real practitioner than if you volunteer, because I can go and volunteer at the soup kitchen, or I can go and volunteer regularly at my church, every week and stuff. But are you really a practitioner of the craft itself? I have that's tough. I think you have to get paid in soccer to be called a practitioner. And there's different types of practitioners, because is a reporter who reports on soccer a practitioner? Yes, and they gets paid for it, right? Yes, you are a practitioner, but you are a practitioner in whatever content creation that they do, right? You are a practitioner in writing articles. You are a practitioner in asking questions of the coaches or the clubs or whatever. You're a practitioner in that. But I would never call you, and you should never be called a practitioner from a coaching context at all. You don't know shit about coaching. You have no clue. You could be reporting on coaching for 20 years, right? And talking to coaches and giving interviews to Pochettino and all that stuff. You could do that for 20 years. You don't know jack squat about coaching, because you're not a practitioner in the coaching craft. You with me? There's other practitioners, a club executive. Okay, you're a practitioner in soccer for sure. On the business side, right? Maybe you know how to run an Excel spreadsheet very well, or organize marketing campaigns, or I don't know, go out and help recruit, son, right? And do contract work, for players and transfer players, all that stuff. You're a practitioner. But again, if we're talking coaching, which is what this episode kind of is about, I suspect, you're not a practitioner in coaching. You don't know jack diddly squat about coaching. You don't do
Got it.
it.
All right. Moving on.
Fans are
Leo
not
Waldman.
fans are not practitioners in anything.
Yeah. All right. Leo Waldman. You get 5% compensation for future transfer fees for solidarity payments when they go pro. What do you mean? What do they get for developing pros? And by the way, that guy spelled it out. You know the thing where people capitalize some letters and lowercase some letters to make
Sure,
it
the whole
sound,
SpongeBob
you
thing.
know? Yeah. So he says, what do they get for developing pros in the SpongeBob font? You know nothing about soccer.
Okay. So first off, let's give this guy a little bit of a lesson as to solidarity payments. First and foremost, training compensation is the big chunk of money with respect to what this guy's referencing, not solidarity payments. Solidarity payments is a tiny little thing, right? That's also dangled out there. It's training compensation that's the big money pocket. But let's pull on his thread. So 5% of a transfer goes to all the clubs that like developed this particular player. Now, if a player, let's do a little bit of math here, because this guy is mathematically challenged. Okay. So if you transfer a player for $1 million, 5% of that is $50,000. But that $50,000 is spread throughout all the clubs that touched that player leading up to his professional career. Okay. So a particular club may have only had that player for 2 years, let's say. So that 5% just probably got bumped down to maybe being 1% or less than 1% of the $1 million transfer. So that's $10,000. Let's be generous here. So you got a $10,000 check. Congratulations. That ain't dick. That ain't dick. Youth clubs here, a medium sized youth soccer club in the United States, has an operating budget that is 7 figures. $2 million annual budget, 3, 5, and if you're a big club, you're talking 8-figure, annual operating budget. So getting $10,000 for a player, that you touched for, in the past is a clown show that does nothing. You fart that money. Okay. You make an accounting error on that money. So this dude doesn't know shit about football. And by the way, what are the chances that your particular club is going to end up developing a professional player? Number one, very slim. Almost all clubs in the United States are never going to, quote unquote, develop a player that goes on to play professionally. Number two, what are the probability that that particular player that maybe you had at youth ends up getting a transfer of $1 million, let alone a transfer of $10 million or $5 million, $3 million? Almost zero, Benny. So this is not an incentive at all to fucking get serious, right? At the youth club level to say, oh my God, we got to get serious to develop pros so that we get this monetary windfall. Nobody does that.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was going to say. Majority of the players that go pro, especially in MLS, are on 6-figure contracts. So if club's getting anything, it's peanuts, bro.
No, but it's
Nothing.
not on the contract. The player has to be transferred. Solidarity payments only happens when a player gets purchased.
What about from franchise to franchise? Like if,
No, it
or it
has
has to be overseas.
it has to go from one federation to another federation.
Got it. Dude, this is why we need the whole episode on this topic, bro. So that even I can educate myself.
Well,
I know nothing about soccer.
some well some folks here
Unfortunately.
in the United States are like, oh, MLS should pay solidarity to like the youth clubs if a player goes to an MLS academy and becomes an MLS pro player, dumbest shit ever. I understand they're well intentioned. They're well intentioned, these people who make these proposals, but they don't do the math. They don't get it. It's like, okay, so Portland Timbers is gonna say, oh, thank you so much, East Side, rec club. Here's $5,000, because that doesn't do shit, Benny. It doesn't change the ecosystem.
Yeah. All right. You don't have to respond to this one. I just want to throw it out there. Celtic Dan. This guy didn't make the cut. All right. Next guy. Jeff Quits. Sick name. I am serious when I say I absolutely love watching people dedicate themselves to anything and see results. I have not seen one person play and not get better, not to mention the serious hours I spend driving my kids to play soccer. You're a rec commentator.
Okay, I don't know what you want me to respond to. There's nothing there. Like, look, I respect parents putting in countless hours for their kids. Parents are like serious about that, right? They get in the car, they're tired from work, they drive their kid over there, drive their kid back, games, tournaments, all this stuff. It's a serious time investment for sure. Okay, why are you doing it is my question. Why is the parent doing that? Well, I don't know. Maybe you can help me answer that question. Why is the parent putting in all this time, effort, and energy? I think most parents, you see it online, they end up saying stuff like, for the kid to have fun, more than anything else,
Yeah,
and have a
for
good
sure.
time. So, yes, they should. And yes, that's awesome. Absolutely. But you're not taking it from the perspective of, no, I need to develop my kid to be a pro or be serious, which is what the reel was
Yeah.
about, being
Yeah.
serious
Exactly.
pro player development. So the parents aren't doing that. I mean, some might be, some who are in a particular la land, right? Because they think that they're in MLS Next or ECNL. They're like, oh, my kid's going to be a pro, or I want to make him be a pro. That's great. It's admirable. But I think those are few and far between. And I was talking about the leagues and the clubs in this country. I wasn't talking about parents.
I don't think people actually watch the entire reel before they start commenting.
I could see that. They're like, no,
Yeah.
no, this is enough. I can't I can't listen to this anymore.
Yeah. They just want to chime in, bro, with their stupid takes. Okay. 51 OUX says, stupid take. Alphonso Davies was recruited from the Vancouver Whitecaps. FIFA's first ever North American top 11 players.
Awesome. Okay, well, I don't what do you want me to say to that, Ben? What do you want me to say? Like, hey, just because you're in a shit environment doesn't mean that somebody can't make it out of the shit environment. How many countless stories do we have to have in all walks of life where exceptions pop out of toxic environments and make it big, Benny? I mean, this is the stuff books are made of, right? And books are written about these circumstances in all walks of life, I'm talking about, precisely because it's against all the odds that this happens. That's why books are written about it. That's why this guy actually knows the name Alphonso Davies, because it was against all the odds that somebody in North America in the MLS sort of context was able to escape and become a top class player in Europe. It's because it's against all the odds. That's why. And why is it against all the odds? Because everything here is wreck. Everything here is shit. And so you wouldn't expect this to happen. Oh, but look, it happened. People need
Yep.
people. Our education system has really failed our population, Ben. Really failed. It's made. I just don't know how these people live. Like, how do you navigate? Like, how do you navigate the world having been so mindless? We've made life soft, Benny. Life has gotten too easy here. It's the whole thing about strong men make weak times, right? Because strong men build a world that is easier to live in, right? For everybody. And then since it's easier to live for everybody, that environment makes weak men. And then weak men make hard times, right? Because weak men can't do shit. They can't build anything. They offer no value to the world. They're lazy, they're unskilled. And so the world starts going to shit, and that creates hard times for everybody. And then from that, hard men get developed again, and hard men build the world back up. So I see all these comments, these negative comments, this personal attacks and all that stuff. It's like, you're a weak man, fucking weak. Go out and actually build something, do something with your life. And if you have children, fucking A, don't fuck them up so bad. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers for your kids, man. Jesus.
Yep. Oh, dude, people, I think today's society, everybody just wants the shortcuts. Everybody wants the easy way out. One example I saw, and listen, I'm not against AI. I think it's a massive tool, but I think people are using it to the point where they're just not even thinking at all anymore. Like I saw a guy that was offering personal training and he had like this long message written out on Facebook. It looked really nice, really presentable, and I'm reading it, right? And then he's like, okay, where ages, and then when you get to ages, it's like insert age range of players that you want to coach. So like clearly he didn't even proofread the entire thing after he copied and pasted from, chat GPT, but everybody wants to take shortcuts, bro. Nobody wants to open a book anymore, read, and I don't know, dude. Like
It's
you said, dude.
it's going to create two things, many things actually, but there's two things that come to mind. One is we're going to get a lot more scammers. If we
Yeah.
keep it let's keep it a soccer, but this is true broadly speaking. A lot more scammers because something can happen just like how you described. They'll just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have an AI create an article for me, or an AI create a marketing campaign for me, or an AI create persuasive copy for me, targeting parents or whatever to give them some sort of personal trait, whatever the heck it is." And the AI, they're gonna prompt the AI to come up with the right technical terms, and soccer terms. And if anybody asks this guy a question, on social media or whatever, he'll just put the question into an AI and give the response from the AI back. Like, oh yeah, you know so much about soccer. What do you do against a 4-2-3-1 if you like playing 4-3-3? Well, fuck if I know. Let me ask ChatGPT, and then you give an answer, a technical answer. Lots of scammers, lots of grifters, and it's going to be very tough on people who aren't experts in the domain to discern who's who in the ecosystem. That's number one. I forgot the second one. Shit. It was the second one was going to be a good one.
Yeah, think about it. Well, I even saw an ad yesterday, Gary, for like a new social media AI tool
Mm-hmm.
where you sign up for this thing, and the AI lives within your, like, let's say it's Instagram, it lives within your account. So if somebody comments on one of your posts, the AI will come back and automatically comment for you, or it'll send a direct message to you, or reply to all your messages. It's insane, bro. It's insane.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't know, human connection anymore.
Yeah.
We live in a
Yeah.
world where all these AIs are just talking to each other, bro.
That's going to happen, man. That's going to happen. And I think one possible future world, there will be online areas where it's human verified one way or another. And people are working hard on figuring that solution out. And then there's going to be areas online where it's all agents talking to one another. Like,
Yeah.
but legitimately, because my agent is going to do the travel for me, right? So I'm going to deploy it onto this site, and it talks to everybody else's agent, right? And does a deal.
Yeah.
I tell my agent, hey, I only want to spend this much money. I want to go to Mexico and only these particular cities, maybe, and a hotel in this range and stuff. Go out. And it goes out to the AI environment with that, with all the travel agents. Yeah. And with all the airlines, with all everything. And they just talk to each other and cut deals. And that's it. And it comes back to you with a solution. So there's going to be that AI only world. And then there's going to be the human verified world. We'll see how
Yeah.
it plays out.
Have you seen that clip where it's like two phones and they're both have AI programs, and then the AIs realize that they're talking to another AI, and they're like,
No.
"Hey, do you want to switch languages to make it more efficient?" And they get into like basically like bit communication, just like tiny signals, and it's just insane. But I'll send you the video. It's wild,
Yeah.
bro. It's like, "Oh, are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
also an AI?" Me too. Let's switch our language over to encryption, bit technology, whatever it is.
I
It's
remember
insane, bro.
my positive view of this whole development. And that is, I believe it's going to create a lot of opportunity for people who are willing to work hard. Because you were saying, oh, it's easy, everybody can blah, blah, blah. I think and nobody wants to work, nobody wants to read, nobody wants to do stuff. As a consequence of that, there's a huge opportunity, in my opinion, to be one of those exceptions and actually put in the work. And then you're going to pop out and be very successful on the other side. Because look, Ben,
Yeah.
you still have to be able to prompt and speak with the language models appropriately, correctly. You have to know what questions to ask, and you have to be able to discern whether the output that is providing to you is good or shit output. And only people who have put in the work in a particular domain are going to have the capabilities of prompting and then verifying. Balaji Srinivasan. I know I left a comment on the YouTube channel referencing Balaji. Maybe a month ago, he's very good at coming up with concise conclusions. He said AI is middle to middle. That's the solution it offers. What does that mean? It means that at the beginning of the process, you need a human. You still need a human, okay? Because you need the prompt. And then AI does everything from that point all the way to the quote unquote solution, but that's the other middle, because once the AI spits out an output, you need a human to verify the validity of the output. Okay,
Yeah.
so you kind of need to be an expert in a particular domain to do both ends of that.
Yeah, that's why it's easy to tell the people that aren't experts, because if an AI throws out something and it's complete nonsense and they still go with it, it's like, okay, you clearly don't know what you're talking about.
Well, here's the thing, Ben. An expert, like a non-expert, won't know if it's nonsense. Like Benny,
Right. Yeah, that's it.
if you go and you prompt it about heart surgery, hey, I'm a male, 29 years old, here's my data or whatever, what recommended heart surgery or heart, procedure should I have, and it spits out stuff. Since you're not an expert, you can't verify the output. First off, it's hard for you to
Right.
even ask the question. You can't verify the output. You won't know if it's nonsense. You have to be an expert in the domain to know if it's nonsense.
Yeah. All right. Massive rant on AI. I like it. Let's do a couple more. Even though we're at the hour mark, there's a couple more good ones. This one's actually, like, I think the guy is genuine in his question. Okay. To be clear, am I correct that you're making a distinction between all clubs and some coaches, meaning no club is interested in prioritizing a club-wide system designed to help kids go pro, whereas there are some coaches who individually are committed to helping kids go pro? Do you want me to read it again?
Um, No, let me rant and then you can corral me if I'm not answering it. What I'm saying is that there's no club in the United States, almost certainly. Obviously, I can't prove that. It's just my experience over 20, 25 years to today and at the pro level. No club is serious in the sense that they deploy all their that all their resources that they prioritize, that their number one priority in the deployment of resources is in being serious about developing pro players. None. And that includes the MLS. Okay. None of them. That's what I'm saying. And from the coaching perspective, is that there are, I don't know if it's 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 500, or I don't know. It's just, I can tell you again from my experience that I've come across maybe only a handful ever that are truly serious from within with their own passion, that they are dedicating almost every ounce of their being into developing pro players or being serious about developing top of the top of the top in their craft. And it doesn't have to be necessarily pros that they develop. You just have to be extremely serious at your craft. That's all.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you know this guy, Gary. We seem to have a lot of mutual followers. Keith Miller time. Gary, go coach teams again? Oh, wait, you're shite. That's why your brother's the one that does it.
Yeah. I don't know why they get personal. Well, we explain why they get personal, right? But I've always said, and every time somebody says, "Hey, coach," or whatever in email or anywhere, I'm like, "Hey, I'm not a coach." I tell them, and I said it publicly many times. I am not a coach. My whole history in coaching, well, I was a head coach on a couple of occasions. That's not true, but my entire history, because that's a good general statement, is being Brian's assistant, helping out here or there whenever he needed it, and being present basically all the time in all training sessions, in all games, in all tournaments forever, Benny. I was there. And so you get an incredibly good pulse on everything. Um, and sometimes you get a better pulse than the head coach in the sense that a head coach, again, I'm speaking from experience, you're so focused on executing of the activities, like laying out the cones, making sure the proper spacing, doing the proper groupings of the players, that you miss out a lot on the big picture and sometimes the small picture, if that makes sense, Benny. I remember a story from Sir Alex Ferguson. Um, you know, I don't know if it was from his biography. I don't read biographies, but somewhere Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't out there laying out cones and doing the drills and doing all the stuff that normal people think a head coach does. All his assistants would do that. And he would just sit back, from the side, look at the big picture, and either want to spotlight a particular player and just stare at him the whole time, right? While his assistants run the activities and stuff, just stare at a particular player or two or three, or look at the bigger picture at how's the team culture, how's, all that sort of uh, stuff is going on. And then for that vantage point enables you then to better assess the team, better assess the players themselves. So, anyways, Ben, that was my role. That's what I would do for decades.
Yeah.
And
Just
I and
just
and I don't
another
care. Sorry, one more thing. I don't care about coaching, and I don't care about soccer. I don't care. I don't want to do that.
yeah. Just another ignorant comment, Gary, that obviously people haven't done their research. All right,
You
Gary.
know, I would
One
say,
more.
I would
Go for it.
say, because I've said this in the past, and coaches would come back to me and say, like, "No, Gary, you're a coach," but it's kind of like you're coaching the coaches at that point. So if I'm going to be a coach, and I'm not labeling myself this, others have labeled me this. It's kind of like I'm coaching coaches. There.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Gary. A lot of people commented the same thing. Give a solution. I'll read this guy's last comment, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. Martin McGee says, "You sound angry. No one's listening. Give a solution if you have one." Well, Martin McGee, you are in fact listening. because you watched the reel and commented on it. So there you go, my friend. But
Again,
anyways, Gary, so many comments, oh, what's your solution? What would you do? How do we fix it? Obviously, all of our recurring audience members and returning audience members, they know what you're going to say, but there's a lot of new people here. So what's the solution here, Gary?
the solution is promotion and relegation, an open ecosystem, an open marketplace of ideas where there are consequences. There are rewards and consequences for sporting excellence. If you are exceptional on the sporting side, eventually, right, you're going to get promoted, meaning your team gets promoted to the higher levels, the higher divisions, the higher leagues. And if you suck at the job of sporting excellence, you are eventually going to get relegated and you're going to drop out of MLS Next and you're going to drop out of ECNL. And so when you have an open marketplace like this, an open ecosystem, everybody is incentivized to get serious, which is what the reel was all about, and not be rec. There's still rec soccer. Fine. You want rec soccer? Cool. There's nothing wrong with rec soccer. But if you're in what's a so-called competitive circuit, you're going to get really serious really fast if there's risk of relegation. And you're going to get really serious really fast if you're investing time, energy, effort, money into wanting to reach the highest levels and get the rewards of being a coach at the highest levels or get the rewards of being a club at the highest levels. You're going to get serious. But right now, since you don't have an open ecosystem, you don't have promotion relegation, nobody cares. You might get a coach, 1 in 1,000, who cares just because they have an internal fire so bright that they don't even care that there's no promotion relegation and they're going to do exceptional work. But you know what ends up happening, Benny, is that particular coach with that particular fire in this environment doesn't get to the highest levels because the frauds, right, at the highest levels, they want everybody to chill out and the frauds don't want to be exposed. And the coach or the club with the fire burning in them doing exceptional work exposes the frauds. So you're in trouble here. So everything is wreck, Ben. There you go.
There you go, Mr. McGee. There's your answer. There was at least, I don't know, 30 people that it's like, oh well, you're just blabbering. What's your solution? But
They
I don't
got to
think they've
do
ever listened to one of our episodes, dude.
they got to do their homework, man. But this is the nature of the beast, Ben.
Yeah. No, but it was cool though, Gary, to like some people that comment and stuff like that. You would see like some of our listeners would go in and comment like, listen to any 343 podcast and you'll find the answer. So there were people in the comments that said, yeah, he's exactly right. You're spitting fire. So, there's a small percentage of those people out there, but we got to get more people on board, man.
You know what's unfortunate, Ben, is that there's an asymmetry always. The good people, the very smart people, they usually don't want to get into arguments in the comments or even explain things on social media and commentary because it's a waste of time. And since you're smart, you want to deploy your life force in productive exercises. And it's unfortunate though, because like you said, we need those smart, intelligent people to fight the war, right? And so this is how the retards, the monkeys, kind of run the asylum in so many domains, is because they're the ones who are out there with fucking tiki torches, trying to complain and get their way and steal from the rich, and make the country communist.
Yeah. There's a quote by Keanu Reeves, sick actor, bro. He's like, I'm at the stage in my life where I stay out of discussions. If you say 1 + 1 = 5, you're right. Have fun, bro.
It's
That guy's a legend, bro.
it's so sad, man. It's sad. I think our education system has really failed us in this country, man. Really, really badly, because people don't want to learn. And I see folks like on X come and ask me questions, after I make a post, something. Oh, they ask a question, but it's not really a question. They don't want to learn. They don't have a posture of learning, right? Their question already is framed in a way that that they're not sincere about learning at all.
Yeah. Well, it's weird too because nobody wants to learn, Gary, but everybody wants to be the smartest person in the room. Right?
Sure.
Everybody wants to be the smartest person in the comments and say, "Hey, look at me. I know what I'm talking about." But there's no real desire to go out and actually discover the truth, man.
Or
This is my world.
yeah, they play status
I
games,
was just
man.
gonna, yeah, yeah, for sure. It's all about status, bro.
They
Status,
play
pedigree.
but they play status games because they have no skills, they can't actually build anything and provide value to the world. If there's two ways of going up the hierarchy, Benny. You bring value to the world, and then you get rewarded for bringing value to the world. Let's say like an entrepreneur creates things, products and services, brings improves people's lives, yeah? And in exchange for that, they get money, right? Time and energy. And then if you don't go down that path, you don't have the skills to go down that path, or for whatever reason you don't go down that sort of path, how do you go up the hierarchy? You try to play status games, and you try to play word games, and you try to get badges or credentials of some sort. So those are the two paths.
It's a great end it, bro. All right, dude. Good stuff, man. That was a good one. There was so many more comments that could have gone through, but I think we hit
You think that's
the
enough?
most ignorant ones.
Okay.
I think we hit the most ignorant ones.
All right, we're going to call this we have to come up with a standard name for these sorts of episodes, the toxic episodes, toxic comment
Yeah,
episodes,
yeah.
or something like that.
Something, dude.
Hey,
So
try to judge whether this episode should jump straight into the toxic comments and
Friday.
stuff, and keep out the audience questions. I don't know. I'm mulling over this in my head, and me as a podcast listener, I usually like most when they get into the topic that's in the title. Honestly, I've been thinking about
Yeah,
that a
yeah.
lot. So maybe, or one possible solution, Ben, so that we don't lose content, obviously, is we do the audience Q&A at the end, right? So just cut it and paste it at the very end, or just
Yeah.
make a separate episode out of it. I would suggest the copy and paste.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
And and
I mean,
and
we
I'm
can
also
even do it like you said, 2 episodes, where it's Friday, it's like member questions, and then Monday, because we went, I think, about 45 minutes on the toxic comments, so
yeah,
it'll be
that's
a
more good
30-minute
enough.
episode, 45, yeah, I think so. But I'll think about it. What would be
Yeah, that's good
best? So
enough.
you
Yeah, no, I was thinking about it a lot because, when I'm publishing the audio version and I'm trying to come up with a title, for instance, it's getting hard to come up with a title because I know there's 20 minutes of non-specific stuff in the beginning. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so I don't know. I'm really leaning towards, hey, just copy and paste it, put it at the end, and it still fulfills the objective that you wanted, right? Which is loosens us up and gets us into the flow. So by the time we get to the actual topic, we're in flow.
yeah, for sure. I like the title you did the other week. It was like Hulk Hogan, Messi, and something else.
Yeah, that's the only
Savage.
way I could kind of salvage it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
Yeah.
you knew what I was doing.
Yeah, 100%. And people see that, they're like, "Oh, what? Hulk Hogan, Messi?" I'm gonna click on it. Yeah.
Dude, I've studied this stuff, as you know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother.
All
So
right, dude.
tomorrow,
Yeah, tomorrow for sure. So listen, we went to the doctor yesterday.
uh-huh.
Because yesterday was the due date. And
Okay.
so they said if the kid hasn't come over the weekend and we're gonna go in on Monday, they're gonna induce us, and then baby will probably be born on Tuesday.
Okay.
So, but if something happens tonight where we go into labor, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know because I also don't want to interrupt you. During like imagine, one of the most important moments of your life is in process, and I'm messaging you, hey Benny, where's the Dropbox thing for this, or hey Benny, let's fix this. Like that's the last thing I want to have happen. So if
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you if
for
you
sure.
remember, just give me a heads up. Hey Gary, it's showtime or something.
Got you. I'm gonna try and wear this shirt when we go in
Sick,
so I can
sick.
have it for the pictures.
We should have purchased a baby one, dude.
Oh, yeah, no, I've been thinking about it, dude. I want to make like a baby hoodie and something for him. That'd be sick, bro.
Cool, brother. All right, I'll see you
All
tomorrow
right, bro.
then, unless something happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll hit you up. I'll let you know for sure.
Okay, later, Ben.
Most
Thank you.
likely. All right, bro. Thank you.